I fucking love how every time, sorry, I just had a cookie. You know, I'm eating, like drinking coffee and I had a cookie. It's 2 in the morning. I should be asleep, shouldn't I? But no, I was just watching a video. Sorry, I'm not high. I'm like ridiculously fucking hyper, kind of, in a good way. So I was watching a video, and this guy's like talking about the Bhagavad Gita and some other stuff. And I'm like, okay, let's see what this is about. So he's reading a few passages from it. I'm like, you know, it sure sounds like ascension stuff again. Sorry, I'm placing you on your little tree stand. So it sounded like the whole ascension crap, okay? And I was like, what the fuck? So I asked God, Krishna, Jesus, whatever you want to call it, focus. And I need to tell you, like I was asked to tell you something. You know how people say the whole point is self realization? They're like, oh, we come here and we learn about who we are and we do this and we do that and we evolve and we go. Sorry, my hair is, there's a lot of weird energy in the air. Sensors. So I was thinking about it and I was having the conversation and you know how they say it's about realizing you're part of God and ascending back to the womb or whatever and all that shit, right? And then you go back to being God or source. What do you do when you're there? You get real bored and you meditate and you imagine somewhere and then you go and you live a life. And then in that life you live it and you're like, oh, I'm God. And then you go back to being God and you're like, I'll go imagine something else. And then you go back to another day of life. Do you see how stupid it is? Like how simple and stupid it is that people make billions off of this spiritual woo woo of whatever, which most of it is true, you know. But once you get to a point where you're face to face with creation, self, and existence, and you're in the void and in the womb, and you're real deep in there, and you're like, well, now what? You know what the now what is? Life. And you guys are like, oh, no, we gotta evolve and ascend and go. Yeah, but once you're there, you want to come back here and live. So why don't you just make this place better? And, you know, stop being jerks. I'm literally drinking coffee and it's 2:05 in the fucking morning and I want to go watch cartoons or something. I don't even know. I don't even know. This light is just really bright right now. So how do I explain this to you? The soul ascension thing you guys are on. The soul ass ending. And then giving everything to a God outside of you, but that God outside of you is also a God inside of you, which is also you, which is the universe, which is also all the gods and all the ancestors and everything else, pretending and living and whatever. And then you, when you're on that side where you're the unfathomable, meditating or imagining, dreaming life, this is what you're imagining. So when you're like, oh, evolution, gotta find nirvana and like samsara and go to the womb and go back to godhood and all that stuff. Okay, okay, cool, cool. But once you're there, are you going to create a universe to where you do something with that? Or are you just going to go back to sleeping eternally? But you're not really sleeping because you're God and you're imagining everything, including this. And it's all real. Let it sink in because I'm getting really, really, really tired of feeling this energetically on a collective scale. Okay, so you guys reach Neo status. Then what? You're going to need to do laundry still, right? Because you created this world, right? So, how about you go do stuff for your neighbors? Be nice. Find your inner peace, but then live a normal life. Because once you get to God level and you're sitting there in the infinite everything, it's really fucking boring not having any kind of a physical, sensational life because it's just consciousness in itself, nothing else outside of itself. It's just one thought in itself, one being, one source by itself all the time. What does it do? It imagines life, love, experiences, people, dreams, etc. What do those people do? Something's not right. What's going on here? Who's God? What's the purpose of life? Then they go and figure it out. And then what happens? They become sages, they become the illumined ones, they become the whatevers. And then what happens? They realize if they take one more step towards that meditation, they go towards the womb, which means they go back towards being dead. And then they become spirit because they lose their body. They go back to source and they're like, well, this is boring. And then they reincarnate into another body, into the same planet with those people keeping themselves alive so they don't reach that enlightenment state to where they twinkle, twinkle, and they turn into God state. But once you're there, you're like, okay, well, this is boring. And then you come back here. And you guys are screwing this up here. Because some of you know this and the other ones don't. And the ones that don't know that reaching nirvana means you give up your body and your soul, they're like, yeah, sure, go for it. And then they claim everything that would have gone to them. Sound familiar? So, I've been there. I've been back. 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 You know what God says every time I'm there? What are you doing here? Go live your life. Go enjoy your life. Every time I'm in the womb, what are you doing back here? They keep sending me back. Why? They keep lying about me, making shit up. And then they get rid of me when I figure it out. And you know what they keep doing? They just keep making it a better life. They're like, go back. It's better this time. Okay. So now I'm supposed to be telling you this at 2:11 in the fucking morning. Because some of you are not seeing this. Because a lot of people are using this against you guys. And they're like, oh, ascension, sunships, magic, high priestess stuff. And it's all real. It's all God's imagination. But you guys don't realize that True oneness with God means you're physically dead. Because God doesn't have a physical body. It is experiencing life in a physical body now. To be one with God is either to be one with God in your body or you're dead and your spirit's over there. Pick one. Because if you pick one, being one with God while alive, guess what? There should be an entire fucking universe where it's God beings, not people who are keeping themselves from getting to that universe or they're afraid of reaching Godhood because they're going to die. Like, who taught you guys this? I've been cracking up, man. Like, I cannot believe this is like in people's heads. You are source, okay? Yes, they're right about that. Reaching oneness with source does mean you give up your physical sensations because you have to turn them off to emulate death, to connect with source, which is avidly avoiding connecting with you by creating ego to make you go, energetically go, ego, your life. And you're like, no, living life with an ego is the devil. That's not what it's supposed to be. You're supposed to be living life on earth with people and working together and learning that you're God and then moving to the next world and doing God shit. That's why there's those people in those groups who are like controlling knowledge. In a way, they're doing you a favor. In a way, they're controlling it and using the people on spiritual journeys to harvest their spiritual energy, to send them into the womb so that they can stay there. Let it sink in. I told you, I've been there repeatedly. And every time I'm there, they're like, do you guys not get the point? And I'm like, I get the point. But apparently I got to come back and go back again and tell them the point again. So can you make it clearer this time? And they're like, okay, we're going to give you this answer with a little surprise this time. And I'm like, okay. So here you guys are. There's your secret to life. You're supposed to be living it nicely. Yeah, I know. You don't really want to focus on it because how can it be so simple? Because God is eternal and infinite, and if it creates anything, it's probably going to be really simple. And if you don't like, if you're not going to start being honest with your tribes and collectives regarding the information that's being channeled to a lot of you guys, it's going to stop being channeled. Those of you who keep using magic for nefarious purposes, you're simply going to not be allowed to use magic anymore, cosmically. What's the point of giving you that gift? So once you reach God and you talk to God and you realize you are God and God's inside you, and that everything is true and everything is false depending on what you want to believe, take a minute and like realize just how many fucked up people lie to you guys based on this hidden knowledge. That's not really hidden. It's twisted. Oh, you're ascending. No, they're just trying to kill you. If you're ascending, then you're going to be on a vibration to where people are actually kinder, nicer, alive. The world is healthy. You're healthy. The world is more beautiful. Things look more peaceful. Things feel better because God is alive through you and God intends, desires, wants, is dreaming, imagining a life where it lives instead of sitting in empty space and nothingness and all of everything, going, oh my God, is there no one else? And you guys are like, we want to go back to that. And you guys get back to that, and God's like, go have fun. I'm sitting here being, oh, why are you down there going, how do I get back to God? Are you sad for God? Do you want to go give God a hug? If not, sit down and live your life. You have magic? Cool, use it beneficially. You have connections? Cool, use them beneficially. There's bad shit going on in the world. There's evil. I bet you it's people doing it, not gods, not demons. So stop trying to evolve in that way where it's like you're trying to stop being human or kill your ego. Instead, recognize that your ego is a personality that your source self is using to function in the human world instead of walking around saying, I am God, over and over and over to everybody. Yeah, we know we're all God. Who are you pretending to be? And then those people telling you, you got to figure out who God is. Bye. Don't let them do that to you. And then when they're like, oh, you can pay us all this thousands and thousands of dollars for like an energy healing session. Bruh, go give yourself a massage because your energy's off because those people are fucking with you. And God is inside of you imagining what it's like to experience that. And they're like, go be one with God. You're going to marry Jesus. If he was going to marry you, he'd be there in front of you instantly. It's Jesus. Like, come on, man. And to everybody in the world that is those people who are giving the LGBTQ community a really fucked up name, those people who are pretending to be transgender, those people who are just doing it for sex, those people who are doing it for like adult movies, those people who are just doing it for misinformation, smear campaigns, shit like that. Grow up. Like hermaphrodites were the original species, male, female are the broken two. And then God is one. So if you're giving anything against bisexuals or homosexual people, you're literally telling God how to dream and stream. Let people live. Let them be happy. Let them fuck who they want to fuck. If they're over 18, go. Are they consensual? Cool. Are they saying no? Fuck off, dude. She said no. He said no. Are they under 18 and you trying to fuck with them? Off with your fucking dick, dude. Are you a woman messing with men in this fucked up dream and they're under 18? Guess what? Chastity belt for your twat, honey bunch. It's not very difficult, is it? When you know you're God and you're connected to everything and you're dreaming all these different personalities, you're going to evolve your ego. You're going to raise it up. You're going to bring it up to the God within you and whatever you believe outside of you. And you're going to ask for mercy for that because it is an aspect of the creator projecting itself through outward to where the skin was like a film over the backdrop of the universe that's pressed out with source talking through it like a thumb behind it, a sheet of like a veil. Okay, your body is God's thumbprint in the world. So stop trying to leave it. Stop trying to hate it. Stop trying to change it. Stop trying to. If you've been purposefully born in a wrong body, there's a spiritual reason for it. It's not because, you were molested. Everybody's been molested, whether they realize it or not, spiritually, physically, or psychically. It's part of the dream state for some fucked up reason because it's in the collective. Stop picking on each other. It's ridiculous. And stop with this weird sacrifice bullshit, okay? No god or goddess or demon in existence wants any of you to sit there spilling blood in their name. That's you guys thinking that that's what they want. And then you guys are the ones doing it. Stop it. And oh my God, the amount of lies and bullshit in the world. Like, what the fuck? Are you guys bored? Ugh. And the next time somebody tells you, oh, false hope, invisible dangling carrot, walk away. Just walk away. And when they're telling you, like, oh, you're going to be one with this or one with that, that's psychological abuse. You're already one with God. God is experiencing life through you, whether you're Bob, Ted, Bill and Ted, Betty Boop, whoever the fuck you are. That's a personality God's pretending to be. When you know that, you kind of recognize all the personalities that God has been pretending to be with your thumbprint. Thumbprint. Okay? And recognize the fucking traps, dudes. It's not that fucking difficult. They use everything to trick you. Visually, everything. Why do you think I don't have a backdrop in my fucking apartment? Am I lying to you? God. Don't make me be tapping into this absurd energy. Because it really makes me feel like the human race sometimes just... It's a little kooky in there, isn't it? It's like, don't you realize you guys are already God? And people are telling you, you're going to be one with God. That there's something wrong with that? Don't you think when they're telling you, oh, Jesus needs your invitation, that there's something wrong with that? It's Jesus, it's Krishna, it's Christ, it's the Great Mother, it's the Great Father. Why would he need your permission? He's you. What the fuck? So just common sense, please. What have we learned? Spaceships coming down. Change the channel. Volcanoes blowing up. Change the channel. People being raptured. Tie little balloons to their ankles. Like you see a bunch of drag queens walking down the street. Put their hand there and like walk with them and dance. You're seeing a bunch of strippers and you're like, oh, those fucking strippers. Give them some money. Walk away. You seen some hookers on the street and they're doing their thing? Hi, you guys you need anything? You got condoms? Cool, bye. You guys safe? You drive past the fucking schoolyard? There's a weird energy. Go in there. Hey, is everything okay in here? You guys need any help? Don't just ignore those intuitions and then call yourself a psychic or an empath or a high priestess or whatever the fuck you guys call yourselves. And oh my God, don't stop with the fucking gender labeling of people in the world. Unless you're going to be putting my genitals in your orifice with my permission, you don't need to know what's in my pants. You can obviously see I'm not male or female because it's God's funny time. Okay? Now backtrack it. You see all this distraction energy, right? What was it distracting you from? When people tell you God is outside you and that you have to sacrifice or worship or bend your knee or to make a vow or to let them in through an invite. What does that mean? Why? Because the real God is you and me and everybody. And if they're doing that shit, they're testing you, tricking you. And some of them do it maliciously. Because some of you apparently need that kind of experience. And people like me are meant to get you to go the other way. There's another way. Vampires need your invitation. being one with God without your physical body intact, experiencing physical pleasures, means you're dead. Hello. Be careful who's telling you that really creepy, insidious shit that's covered under the guise of ascension when it's actually spiritual sacrifice so they can take your energy and your inheritance had you stayed on earth. Common sense. Check your fucking YouTube subscription list. How much of your time do you guys spend listening to false hope from false messengers of gods that need your invitation when the real Christ, the real God, is already inside you, pretending to be you, pretending to be me, pretending to be aged or not, depending on how I want to play with you in this dream, mi amor. So, I want you to go and get some fucking common sense for 5 seconds in your life, okay? Because the more common sense you guys have and the more love you feel, the less they can do. Think of it this way. The more love you feel internally, it's like spraying Raid on an archonic bug. Like an archon shows up and you're like, I love you. And it goes way quicker than you guys saying, down with the demiurge. Why don't you just hug it? It hates hugs. Believe me. So, I hope this serves you. I'm going to go have the rest of my coffee and finish watching maybe X-Men, the animated series. I'm kind of feeling that. My fangs have been itching so much, you guys have no idea. Especially that one. This one's okay. That's the quiet thing. That one's like, This one, it's like Lucy today. She's like, I'm gonna get you, Ethel. And this one's like, nope. Shape-shifting in slow motion, bro. Ow. I guess the directed energy weapons don't hurt either. Or they did. SOS. Anyway, I'm gonna go. Have a good night. And just so you know, how is that even possible? The world might know. Actually, they already all know. They all know. We all know it's tampering. People tampered with this bitch. They all tampered. Hello. It's going to be on the news. So you'll see. Have a good night.